Welcome to another program. It has been so long that I haven't published any video. So I just want to at first say I'm sorry for that. I'm working on my assignments for the school, and I have some works also to do urgently in the office. And it will be all completed hopefully by 20th of December, I'm hoping. But I have a little bit now time. I feel relaxed. Most of the time I finish it, but still there are some works to do. So before that, I was going into some research about an item about something going on in the Middle East between the US and Saudi Arabia. And as a Turk, I wonder how it might affect us. So that keeps me thinking at first I should be really looking for the US and Saudi Arabia relations because it's important at first to understand what kind of relations these two states have and what US and Saudis see as a mutual benefits from these relations and how they want to go forward and how this might affect Turkey and the Middle East in the future. So without any further delay, let's start. Now, at first, let's go to the US and the Saudi Arabia relations. The US had recognized the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia after unification in 1931. The quest for oil and petroleum led the US building a joint US-Saudi petroleum company in 1933 that led the exploration of the oil in the country up until today. Aramco, basically, we can name this. In late 30s, the US had discovered enormous volumes of oil in the eastern part of the kingdom. The Secretary of Interior at that time, the Harold Ikes, saw that this relation is very important for US. It saw Saudi oil and the national security welfare of US as intimately linked. While Saudi Arabia remained neutral during the World War II, an attack of its facilities led the US to declare a protection of Saudi Arabia in 1943, which created a symbiotic relationship that continued up until today. In 1945, the King Abdulaziz Al Saud and President Franklin Roosevelt laid the foundations of the Saudi and US alliances, which was based on the oil for security formula. According to this formula, the US had pledged to ensure the Saudi Arabia security against any internal and or external risks in return for the commitment of Saudi Arabia to secure cheap oil to US. This formula has been in line with also the US foreign policy at that time, which was to contain the communism through the economic and the military assistance. So the bilateral relations evolved into broader security alliances in 1951 when they signed the first formal defense agreement known as the Mutual Defense Assistance Agreement. By this, it enables US to have a facility in Saudi Arabia which enabled the US military to support and train the use of the weapons and other security-related services to the Saudi armed officers and forces. In 1975, US provided an economic and military aid of around 328 million, which caused Saudi Arabia to abandon its price fixing mechanism for oil and gas to a free market driven price on the international market. So basically the price was depending now on demand and supply, which is as of today. So that secured lots of wealth and prosperity for the US and Saudi Arabia. And as much as Saudi Arabia became richer, it enabled them to purchase more US arms through the volume and the value, which through decades, the US-Saudi weapons transactions have at times been accompanied by a public controversy and vigorous congressional debate because of the now policies that we are going to also talk about. Now, the current policies of today is Saudi Arabia is extremely narrow-based political system, and extremely affluent, but nowadays fragile economy as consequence of the possession of vast amounts of strategically vital commodity oil, because the price is coming down. And when it comes down, especially with the Yemen war, it creates a burden on the Saudi Arabia to meet with the expenses, and not only the royal family expenses, but also the country expenses. So Saudi Arabia might have considered choosing, striving for an independent foreign policy, or basically a system, a participatory political system. But Kingdom have chose a special relation with the US. So that enables or guaranteed the Saudi Arabia regime without any way helping the force of change. So basically, they don't want to change, and they try to do this by having a special relation with US. Now, when the 9/11 happened, of course, many things have changed. During the Obama administration, there was a lawsuit against the victims, against Saudi Arabia by the victims and the victims' families. And also, when the Arab Spring arose, Obama saw this as a human rights and democracy. But when the Syrian war became alive, then most Sunnist countries, including the Saudi Arabia, feel that Obama administration betrayed them because they didn't show enough or sufficient commitment to make necessary changes in Syria, especially when the Comprehensive Plan for Action, which is named as JCPOA, with Iran have been signed, and then Saudi Arabia felt that they have been betrayed a lot. But the Trump administration reversed the position of the former two presidents, George Bush and Obama, on the account of the Iraq War and the deal with Iran. And at first they tore the Iranian nuclear deal, and they say, no, we are going to put enough aid, and we are going to support our allies. Now, the US and the Saudi Arabia agreed on a strategic partnership in 2017, which aimed at increasing the stability and the security and the prosperity between the two countries, as well as the quest to thwart the common enemies of the two nations, which is basically Iran. It's of course, long-term commitment in the areas of economic development. But now, after the President Trump, how it's going to be evolved under President-elect Biden, we will see it. But I am sure there will be some changes now coming. Now, President Trump, of course, used a realistic approach in the foreign policy with the hope of consolidating the U.S. interests via Saudi Arabia, where the kingdom also guarantees to act as a leader of the GCC region and a strong ally to U.S. in the regional matters. Saudi Arabia also got the legitimacy and recognition necessary to pursue its own policies, including an active challenge to Iran's dominance. Now, of course, for that, the U.S. also wants some changes in return, especially in the Yemen. They want the Yemen war to be ended as soon as possible, and they want some also democratic rights to be granted by the state to the people. So we will see how this is going to now reflect in the country, because there is one issue that we should not forget. Any reforms in the kingdom will be slow and perhaps even glacial in its pace, which means that there will be a lot of problems rising in the countries. And the Saudi Arabia, since the democracy over there is not the democracy that the Western countries recognize or is familiar with, that's for sure that there will be a tension arising between twos. But US is not going to show or burst against Saudi Arabia. They will show a limited, I will say, maybe anger it might be, or resistance, or objection to their behaviors and actions. But they will also try to ease these tensions between two countries in future. We have seen this, the first one, I will say, and this is regardless if it's going to be Trump or President-elect Biden. The killing of Jamal Khashoggi, the U.S. permanent resident and also a columnist in the Washington Post, has been killed in Istanbul, Saudi embassy in Istanbul. it was a huge blow to US and Saudi relations. And we have seen this policy being applied successfully. That will be a huge blow between the two nations. But it's not. The US really have controlled their anger, and they have eased the tension and try to make it as much as possible a smooth way to go and to be solved. Now, President-elect Biden states that he's going to put some restrictions or penalty against Saudi Arabia due to that event. But I am not very much confident, because it will then damage the two countries' relations. Now, how and what should be done in order to make the relations between the Saudi and US better is that it's one of the complex series of relations in the history of Saudi and American relations. Now, due to their overriding importance, US is unlikely to reduce its supports. They can't. If they do it, then they will lose an important country in the GCC, and their plan will be also halted, because US, we have to also look at the bigger picture. They have to now put all the forces in the Asia in order to contain the rising China. So this complexity has led more assertive Saudi Arabia foreign policy, exacerbated by from the matter. Why? Because now Saudi Arabia has seen that there is a power lackness. The power has gone, so they need to fill this shoe. Regardless how infuriating the challenge is, Saudis still have an added value to US, because as the US wished, they are lowering the oil prices, which creates also pressure on the Russia. But the problem is that, on the other hand, which is, I think we need to go objective in that regard. Yes, they are reducing the price, and it creates definitely a problem to the Saudi. But while they are not solving their problem with the Iran, it still increased the volume to be sold by the Russians. So if they solve their problem with the Iran, and if they let the oil also to be flown from Iran to international market, I believe in terms of the monetary effect, there will be more pressure on the Russians. But Trump administration have not chosen this path. But I do think that the Biden administration is going to choose this path. So I am considering that the nuclear deal or the JCPOA is going to be renewed, if and in future, between Iranian and Americans, and then it will be a more dramatic change will happen between these two, because then the only problem that the Saudis will see as will be now coming to Turkey. We have been seeing that now the Saudis and the Qataris have a problem, and Turkey have helped the Qatar in order to secure the land. And for that reason, Turkey has established a military base in Qatar. Even we want to expand this by establishing or setting up a new Navy base. This, of course, is alarming, not only for Saudis, but also the Emirates. And in the beginning of December 2020, there was a committee from the United States who went to Saudis with Emirates, and they met also with the Qatari officials there in order to solve their disagreements on these issues, which the Qatari thinks that Saudis are too eager to intervene with their internal politics, including religion, the administration, and so on and so forth, even the Muslim Brotherhood issues. Now, for Turkey, if there will be a deal agreed between these Arab states, of course, it's going to alienate not only Turkey, but Iran too in the region. So this is what the Americans are trying to achieve by making a peace between these Arab nations. However, even if there will be a peace between these Arab nations, it will not be for sure granted. It will lay on the thin, I would say, ice. Why? Because still the Qataris have understood that the liability of the relations, not only because they are from the two same genetics, but the family relations, because the royal families are all somehow families, and the relations between the countries in terms of not only trades, but other things, military-wise, it is a liability. Trusting on Saudis for the defense of the Qatari is a big liability for Qatar. So they don't want to depend on either the I would say Saudi Arabia or the Emirates, Arab Emirates. Therefore, they will keep their relations at top level, not only with Turkey, but also with Iran. And therefore, we will see a tension arising between the Saudis and also Turkey in future. Now, whether this peace will happen or not, I think it will happen. It should happen. I don't believe that they are going to remain forever unfriendly, and they are going to have some kind of mutual understanding between two. I don't believe that it is going to totally alienate, I will say, Turkey and Iran in the region. To some degree, it will happen, but it will cause some effects. But Qatar will be very much in the favored position in order to have a balance between the Saudis and Turkeys for their own security. But that is going to also create a rising tension between Turkey and also Saudi Arabia. And what we are now seeing that the Americans are trying to achieve through the Saudis, which we have already mentioned, that they are trying to give the legitimacy to Saudi Arabia to be the leader among the GCC countries, that they are trying to create a NATO-wise, like I will say, a unity, and they want the Saudi Arabia to take the lead with also Egypt. Now, that becomes a problem for Turkey because of the Mediterranean region. Now, we are already aware that the Emirates are helping the Haftar forces in Libya, and also they are taking action against the Turkish interests, not only on Libya, but also in Syria. And that's a big also national security threat for us, not only military-wise, but also economic-wise in future. So we are now seeing that if this agreement between the Qataris and Saudis will happen, which we believe to some level it should happen also, the tensions between the Saudis and Turkey will only arise, which is going to also increase the tension between the Iran and Saudis. However, with the President-elect Biden administration, we see in the coming 4 years, and we believe that because of the liberal international liberal order, which America has tried to establish since the Second World War, might be modified, and I think should be modified too, due to some other reasons. But what is going to happen is that they are likely to reach an agreement with the Iranian side, so that they can put their full force and the concentration on the Asia, in order to contain the rising China threat against their own national interests. Therefore, we believe that this tension between the Saudis or Emirates also too, again, with Turkey, is going to remain in the international politics for some years to come. Now, Tipu Sultan, I haven't read all these yet, but only some of the things that I would like to only say. I try to be, yes, objective. Of course, everybody has a site, but I try to be objective in this channel. Only for you to have the information, I have already purchased a lot of stuffs in future. And after 20th of December, I will finish most of my stuffs. Hopefully, I'm going to finish also my master degree in international politics. That's the main thing why it kept me for some time. And I will redecorate here, to be honest. I'm going to make a green box with a mic and also other things to come. And I will buy also some other hard drive to make YouTube live streaming much more higher in quality. And please give a thumb if you like it. And hope to see you for the next time. Have a great day then. Bye. Stay safe. That's the most important. Stay safe with your families and beloveds.